So, Shar, an animator YouTuber, made this Animate with me video about 2 years ago? Yes, I know I'm late. And I wanted to learn to follow along, but 2 years ago, I hadn't finished any animations. I never finished a project or anything like that, and I was really insecure about my skills, and so didn't give it a try. But now, since I'm actually animating complete projects and have some time on my hands, I can go back and partake in that video exercise. Shar is one of my big inspirations for making animations in the first place and making me feel like I can do it. So finally making one of the exercises that she has is a big step for me in showing my progress as an amateur animator. Before I get started, I don't want to use too much from her video to explain what we're doing. I also physically can't because I'm fighting for storage right now. I'm going to assume you've already watched it, or if you haven't, you can do so from the link in the description or in the pinned comment. So I won't really explain much about what goes on in the video besides my own process and experience. But for the basic of basics, so you understand what I'm doing, I'm animating a female human with hair doing a build-up into a peace sign pose. But instead of a peace sign, mine's gonna be doing a little like high 10 or something. They're gonna go like, but it's gonna be 2 high fives. Okay, alright. First things first. A character. Do I have a human character designed? No! And I know she said we could use the same design or not that she had, but I was worried that if I used the same design, I would just end up copying like all of the lines and not really understand why those shapes were what they were, and I wouldn't learn anything new. So I turned to other media that I like to watch. What am I into right now? Security breach shows? Those are animatronics. None of those are even close to a female human with hair. What else do I like? Think, K-pop, think! Tsurugi. Anyway, with the character, I followed Shar's first step with making 3 keyframes. Except I used 4 since that fit with what I was going for. Or rather, I didn't like how it looked with 3, so I made a 4th one. If you don't know the character I'm using, Shirayuki is from Snow White with the Red Hair, which is an anime/manga that I've cherished since my childhood. I won't go too into detail, otherwise this video would be far too long and I don't have enough footage to actually talk about the whole thing. But she's an herbalist who befriends the second prince from a neighboring kingdom while running away from the prince of her own kingdom that wanted to make her his mistress. If that sounds interesting, the episodes are surprisingly just here on YouTube, if you want to check it out. I finished the first sketch with the person in clothes on different layers and in different colors, ending with 7 frames and 4 unique frames. After that, I started on the in-between frames, and I always struggle to know where to put them. My habit is just to make equally spaced frames all around, but Shar explained it in a way that made sense to me, and so off I went, ending with 13 frames and 6 unique frames. I didn't like how it was going. I mean, it looked fine, I guess. I don't know. Something just felt off. That is until I started the line art, which is basically the step I do as a cleaner sketch and a line art sketch at the same time. I finished the first frame and was like, wait, now it's starting to actually look like Shirayuki. Because I accidentally made her hair too long in the sketch and her bangs hung too low. But with that fixed, I was able to do the rest no problem. Except I didn't like these hands. They bothered me. So I decided to draw them again. And the amount of time these things took me was embarrassing. An amateur drawer here. I'm struggling to draw hands. No surprise there. But you know what? I still drew them. And I still didn't like them. So I went back and drew and erased from the base until the fingers were straight and actually looked a little normal. The rest of the line art from there was a breeze, and then I did cleanup and a little stretching of the frames before the movement to make it look better. But then, as I was watching over the animation, I noticed I was missing something. She didn't have eyebrows. I always forget the eyebrows for some reason. I'm sure Candy never has that problem. I fixed it though, so no worries. Next, we're on to coloring, which is a step I like, despite the fill bucket not wanting to color things in sometimes. I actually mostly color in without the fill bucket, but sometimes it helps to give the illusion that I'm saving time, even though I have to go over the unfilled spaces regardless. For the seams on the center of her shirt, they were outlined and filled with a blue-gray in the animation, but since I just used line art to depict them, I colored them in using a toggled mask on the layer above the line art layer and then filled it in from there. So, the rest of the colors each got their own layer, and I turned off the white background when I was going to do the pale cream color of the jacket so that I wouldn't miss any white spots because the color is so similar to the white background. Although I did cut the recording short here because I was worried about my storage, so the next clip is going to have her skin and eyes colored in. Except I forgot to pay attention to what I was supposed to be doing. In Shar's video, she colors the lines for where the lighting and shading should be before doing any other coloring. But I forgot because I've hardly done lighting and shading in still art, let alone in my animations. So I hid all my color layers and chose my lighting and shading colors. Since I already used red and blue for my sketches, I decided to use purple for shadows and yellow for lighting instead. This is actually a color combo I've used to doing in some of my recent art drawings. I didn't mean to make that correlation, but it's still fun. And that's it! I put it all together, and I'm done. Thank you, Shar, for the cool animation exercise. I know I'll learn a lot with each one I do, like that I need to do more hand studies, and that I don't actually know that much about being consistent, and using a reference is always better than not, especially for hands. I hope to follow the rest of the Animate with Me series going forward to better up my animation, and so I have something to upload. Who knows, maybe by the end I'll actually have a human-looking original character that I can use for these projects. Thank you, and take care everybody.